We start with all kinds of data. We have a conceptual framework, or a logic diagram, or a web of causality, some sort of story we want to tell, or a set of things we want to explore. We bring that together in a computer simulation model. If we're lucky, some of the data will be linked data. Why, if we're lucky? Because linked data gives you much more multivariateness. I'll say a bit more about that later. We then are able to answer relevant questions. But I would call what we do with bringing data and simulation modeling together meta-synthesis. Instead of taking many examples of studies that analyze the same outcome using different data sets in different countries, we're going to have to grab data from all over the place. This is a simulation model of galaxy formation. And each dot there is a star, and some supercomputer has been chunking along and solving the many-body problem, probably with more than just Newtonian gravity, but some relativity. And the neat thing that these folks have done in this movie is they pause, rotate the two galaxies that are colliding, or actually interpenetrating, and then superimpose a photograph of an actual galaxy. So this is a really great simulation because it's got sort of clear validation. You know, as the simulation unfolds, it generates images that you can actually photograph. So why do we bother doing microsimulation modeling? Well, key things are we want to address questions that involve what if. In a way, what one can think of microsimulation modeling as doing is transforming a large amount of data from one form into a set of transition dynamics and then drawing out the implications. The theoretical health inequality model means that it really doesn't have any data. But it uses data in a different kind of way, because it's standing way back and saying we have these broad social forces and we want to try and understand them, and we're going to look at different kinds of data and sort of mush them or distill them into what economists certainly have called for many years the stylized facts. So what's our approach? We review the stylized facts, formulate a potential explanation, build a theoretical model. So we start by saying at the individual level, each individual has 5 characteristics. But each of these individuals is embedded in a neighborhood, and then we have many of these neighborhoods that form a city. Here's a sequence of graphs where we are running the model with 100 neighborhoods, and then we just cycle through the decades. And on the lower graph, we begin to see a gradient. And let me move to a second model. This one's called life paths. In this case, the questions are how many middle-income Canadians will face a significant decline in living standards after retirement, and if so, what to do about it. There are a number of criteria for assessing pension adequacy. Given our simulation, I think this is the 1965 birth cohort. Indeed, here's a picture of the replacement rates for men and women. Let me switch to a third model called health paths. The conventional way that health is measured is by life expectancy, hereafter LE. But LE, as I'll show you in a few minutes, is a really poor indicator of population health. And I much prefer something called health-adjusted life expectancy, which I'll explain in a minute. HALE is the weighted area under the curve, the survival curve, weighted by a yuckiness index. These are all the variables that have been included in the current version of health paths. This is the set of equations in a really summary form that were estimated. But then what we can do is say, well, let's artificially change something. Let's run a counterfactual simulation where nobody ever has dexterity problems. And interestingly, cognition is way up there. The median is about 4 years of health-adjusted life expectancy. Dexterity turns out to be zip nada. But one of the implicit messages here is that piecemeal epidemiology isn't going to cut it. To do this kind of analysis requires an infrastructure. The Bureau is increasingly, like other statistical agencies around the world, moving towards administrative data, and to move in that direction effectively is going to require all kinds of record linkage. So I think this is a golden opportunity, stay below the radar though, for moving in this direction.